BRB. I am B. Gotta stay hydrated. It's all good, Fred Freeman. I'm glad you're here for what you can be here for, even if it's not the whole show. You got to work. Respect. RESPCTs. Hi, I'm Colby, and this is my Wednesday show called Perspective Shift that is inspired by my weekly newsletter of the same name, which you can see scrolling across the bottom there. If you go to colbymartin.substack.com, you can sign up to receive Perspective Shift right in your inbox. Do you like how I'm describing newsletters as though you don't know what they are? They go right, it's like magic. Just drop into your inbox on Wednesdays. And what is Perspective Shift? And where did that title come from? The title came from me attempting to merge a couple things. One, my weekly-ish article writing with the book that came out that I wrote earlier in this year called The Shift, Surviving and Thriving After Moving from Conservative to Progressive Christianity. And I thought Perspective Shift because, I don't know, I think my sweet spot is right in the Venn diagram of religion, spirituality, and psychology. And I think when we take these three disciplines, these three studies seriously, it will constantly be inviting us to shift our perspective, to look at things a different way. And so that's what I call my newsletter. And then a couple months ago, I thought, hey, why don't I do this live stream thing? Because not everybody wants to read. Not everybody has time to read. Or some people prefer this sort of format where you can, for instance, interact with me, like Kendall Conley is finally caught it live. What up, Kendall Conley? I've been waiting. Actually, every week that I go live and you're not on, I'm like, well, what am I doing if Kendall's not here? Let's call the whole thing off. I'm just kidding. Paul Queen. See, Paul Queen loves seeing it, which is maybe better than reading it. Anyway, so that's what I do. I write these weekly newsletters called Perspective Shift, and then I hop on here and at 2 o'clock on Pacific time, like my friend Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. The perk of being stuck in bed the past few days is I seem to keep stumbling on all the FB lives. Well, look at you making lemonade or finding the lemonade of the lemons. And also sorry for being stuck in bed. It really sucks. No, Kendall, I'm joking. You don't have to say my bad. I'm teasing. Okay, so here's my topic for today. The article that I wrote is titled, I Don't Want to See Your Flaws. And then the subtitle is, because I'm afraid of my own. So I'm going to get to that here in just a minute. But I do want to point out, again, for those of you who are just joining us, across the bottom here, you'll see a URL, colbymartin.substack.com. And that's where you can go to subscribe to get all of my newsletters that I send out. Usually they hit your inbox Wednesday morning. And then I hop online here on the YouTubes and the Facebooks to do a live reading of it and interact with whoever wants to hang out with me. So that is what I'm doing here now. I'm going to switch to the scene now with the iPad right next to me and change the color of the background. By the way, I don't know if the white shirt was a good choice for today because it makes everything disappear. But whatever, you don't need to really see my name. You know who I am. But it is messing with the auto function on my camera, all this white. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. It's fun for me. So this is, you can see on the iPad here, this is today's Perspective Shift article. Titled, I Don't Want to See Your Flaws because I'm afraid of my own. And that's a little graphic I made of me staring next to the camera, just off camera. I don't know why it's more dramatic that way. Hey, my cousin Rachel's in the house. What's up, cousin Rachel? Haven't seen any of these. Well, you're in luck because you can go back onto my Facebook or YouTube channel and they're all there. You can go back and watch them all. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can. So yeah, I'm going to get right into it. This is today's article. I don't want to see your flaws because I'm afraid of my own. Thank you. That was very meta and kind of spot on, perhaps subconsciously. All right. So here's how I begin. You know how people say things like, oh, I just love seeing the raw humanity in others. Or I really love hearing about the struggles of really successful people. Or Knowing that people who appear to have it all together, but actually don't, and that they're human and messy like the rest of us, well, it just helps me love them more. Do you know what I'm referring to? This phenomenon where people come to appreciate others even more so when they see them in their full humanity. In fact, oftentimes leaders or successful people are told these sorts of things by way of encouragement for them to be even more transparent about their struggles and their flaws and their failures. People will only come to love and respect you more, they're assured. Now, look, I get that this might be true for some, perhaps even many, most, lots of people. I don't know. A lot of people have this perspective, this feeling. Can I tell you a secret? It's not really true for me. It's not really true for me. I don't want to see, for instance, famous actors and actresses all frumpy. By the way, side note, I originally typed famous actors because I'm aware that having to say actresses feels, I don't know, like it's just sort of absurd. Female actors have to give them a whole different title. But then if I just put famous actors, then the mind goes to just men. So I had to type it out. Whatever. I don't know why you needed to hear all that. I don't want to see famous actors and or actresses all frumpy and in their PJs. I don't want to know that the people that I follow and admire are slobs or not put together. Don't show me your messy closets. I'm totally fine and even prefer not knowing all the flaws and the foibles of those I look up to. Stay flawless, my heroes. Stay flawless, I say. For me, knowing that this highly respected person or that massively successful person is also just quite plainly a mere mortal like everyone else, that does not, quote, make me love them more. Now, I accept that sharing this piece about me with you might make you cringe a bit. It might be a little gross. I get it. Perhaps you'll even be a bit disappointed in me or think a little less of me. But I wanted to put this out there this week in case there are others that feel similar. There are others who don't quite resonate with the whole, quote, people will love you more the more human you are. But I'm also putting this out there because although, yes, everything that I just said is absolutely true and real about me, it's also not the end of the story. It's also not the end of the story. It might be where I start. It might be my initial impulses and my initial instincts and my initial thoughts and feelings, but it's not the end. Because I'm pretty sure, okay, who am I kidding? I'm absolutely positive that the only reason that I don't want to see the humanity in my heroes is because I don't like seeing and acknowledging the humanity in my own self. This is the conclusions that I've been coming to these last couple years. The only reason I don't want to see the humanity in my heroes is because I don't like seeing and acknowledging the humanity in my own self. Pause 1 second. Yeah, but I'm doing a live show real quick. Do you need something?
I just need chores.
Oh, you need chores? Is mom not here to hand them out?
Mom's in the shower.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you give me like 10 minutes to wrap up with my friends here, and then I'll come on up and assign some chores. Okay, thanks. Love you guys. Live show. What do you expect? So now here's a little bit about the flawed story that I live by. The story that I've told myself for most of my life is that being human with weaknesses and issues and struggles is somehow less than, like not as good. And being awesome is, well, awesome. As a result, I've extended enormous energy over the years, keeping my weaknesses hidden from others, polishing my flaws before anyone can see them, pretending that I don't screw up, I don't make mistakes like everyone else does. In short, I've been afraid of my own humanity because the lies that I've believed are that I'm only acceptable to others. This is the story that I've told myself and believed and lived by for about over 3 decades. I'm only acceptable to others. I'm only lovable as long as I don't mess up, as long as I make people happy, as long as I do the right thing and get the job done and do it well. I've lived by relatively, okay. I'm pretty sure that's my son's way of saying, and now, Dad, that we know you're live, we're going to intentionally jump on the ceiling above you. Well, I've lived by this relatively simple formula that being normal and flawed equals unworthy, but being awesome equals love. This is how you get love, is you be awesome. Which means then, well, of course, I don't want to see the humanity in others. Of course, seeing their failures and flaws doesn't make me appreciate them more, because I've come to believe that things like flaws and failures are weaknesses that render a person less likely to be loved. And all of that, I'm becoming more and more aware of, all of that stems from my own fear of seeing myself as frail and human. Because I can't accept that such a state is worthy of love. This is what I'm concluding as I have gotten curious about and inspected and sat with this impulse that I have to resist the narrative that somehow seeing the flaws in other people like makes them more appealing. I've always been like, I ain't gonna show you my flaws. That's not gonna make me more appealing to anybody, and I don't want to see other people's flaws. I don't like them more for that. What I'm learning is that impulse, that resistance, it comes from somewhere. It comes from somewhere. And so through therapy and conversations with my wife and the study of the Enneagram and internal reflection, I'm learning, oh, yeah. I don't want to see the flaws in other people because it reminds me that I have them in myself, and I don't like them in myself because then I don't feel like I'm worthy of love. So I've got a goal in life. And here's the deal. While my natural inclination might very well be to resist the idea that seeing people's humanity and their struggles will only make you appreciate them more, I'm becoming conscious of how that impulse in me is rooted in a faulty narrative. And it's driven by fear. And that story can change. Humans are fascinating creatures. We can change. It's hard, takes work, but we can. People can change. I know there's this trope out there that people don't change. Once they show you who they are, believe them. Yeah, there's some truth in that. And we can change. We can change. I'm trying to change. I can see and name how I'm projecting my fear of others seeing my weaknesses, which in turn causes me to not want to see their weaknesses. So what's my way out of this winding mess of these flawed narratives that have crept in and set up residency in my being for 3+ decades? I think it's this. I think it's an acceptance of myself in all my flailing and faulty, limited and messy humanity. I need to come, for example, to see those parts of myself not as something to overcome or to hide or to repress or to dominate, but things to accept and then love. When I can love those parts of me that make bad choices, when I can love what I see in the mirror when I haven't gotten dressed or haven't done my hair or haven't shaved or when I've put on unwanted weight, when I can love that image looking back at me, when I can love myself at the end of a day which utterly lacked anything productive to show for it, which as an Enneagram type 3 is a nightmare. But when I can still love myself at the end of a ridiculously unproductive day, when I can love myself after bitterly disappointing people I love, well, then I can start believing that other people might also love or even still love me in the midst of all that human junk as well. And when that happens, I can start believing a different story. That being totally human and imperfect and flawed and messy and mortal is a lovable condition after all. And then, who knows? Maybe one day I'll be like you all, drawn closer to the people I admire after hearing about their flaws and failures and inadequacies. I'm a little skeptical that I'll get there, but I'm casting it as my goal nonetheless. So that's my article for today. That's my submission to the world. That's my offering. That is my attempt to do a bit of perspective shift in my own life and invite you to as well. That, I realize that my resistance to seeing the flaws in other people is because I am afraid of seeing them in myself. And that comes from living these bad stories, these faulty narratives that can be updated with better stories. Oh, you're welcome, Josh. I'm so glad that it was timely for you. I just want to say one more time, if at all the things that I have to say or write you think might intrigue you, feel free to sign up for my weekly newsletter. And you can do that. Let me go back to this with the ticker down at the bottom. You can go to colbymartin.substack.com and sign up to receive Perspective Shift, my weekly inbox. And then, join me on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Or like Kindle does, watch it later on the replay. That's fine too. These things live on in perpetuity until YouTube cancels me. I don't think they will, but I guess there's always a possibility. But they live on YouTube and they live on in the world of Facebook's, so you can always go back and watch them or catch old episodes, Rachel, if you want. But thank you so much. It's been a joy to have you with me. It's always more fun to do these shows when I see that, for instance, 15 people were with me today. Oh, I just made myself really tiny. I should probably remember to lock that overlay so that I don't get real tiny again. Flaws, baby. Flaws and foibles. This is great. Hey, Phil Gonzalez. I wondered if you were out there today. Thank you. Love you too, brother. All right. Thus concludes. Oh, thanks, Rachel. Thus concludes my my live show today. I'll be back next Wednesday, which is Christmas Eve, which will be a fun afternoon show. But then that evening, I want to invite you all. Let's see if I can find somewhere I have a little graphic I can drop in, because next Wednesday, yes, I'll be here at my normal 2 p.m. But then also that night, that was really large. I didn't mean to make that large. Let's just kind of put it like that. I invite you to come join my wife, Kate, and I. A week from today at 7 p.m. Pacific time, we'll do a live Christmas Eve show. And we're going to do, I'm going to lead some Christmas carols. And we're going to have people doing some virtual lighting of the Advent candles. And then even if you want, this will be kind of fun. If you want, you can set up your own, I'm going to have a Zoom room set up on a different computer. And then at like probably 7:45 or so, open up the Zoom room and let anybody who wants to sort of beam in. We'll do this big group Zoom session, and I'll bring that into the live show, and we'll all sort of be on, Brady Bunch style on the screen together, lighting our candles and singing Silent Night. It's not as obviously ideal as our annual doing it in person is, but it's also not nothing. So I want to invite all of you to join. You're welcome to come back and be a part of that as well. And then also the other thing I wanted to mention, for those who are up for such things, if you want to, tomorrow night, I'm also going to be doing a live show. I do these beer and hymns periodically throughout the year, and I love doing a beer and hymns Christmas edition. And I'm going to use that energy and join forces with my friends over at Heathen Podcast, and we're going to have a live Christmas holiday extravaganza special tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So again, they'll be on the Facebooks and the YouTubes. And I just wanted to let you guys, you all know that was happening. Oh, good. I'm so glad, Donna, that you were able to hang out with me today. Thank you. All right. I love you all. Have a great, wonderful, merry, happy holidays, and I'll see you. If you'd like to sign up to get my weekly newsletter, Perspective Shift, where I examine life through a mixed lens of progressive Christianity, psychology, and spirituality, simply head over to colbymartin.substack.com, enter your email address, and click subscribe. And once you're in, you'll see that all my past articles are here. And don't worry, you don't have to do anything about missing anything, because every new edition of the newsletter goes directly to your inbox. And periodically, I'll hop on the Facebook Live here and do a live reading of a past article. So just make sure that you go to facebook.com/ColbyMartinAuthor, and then if you haven't already, you click this little guy here and you like my page. That way Facebook will say, hey, guess what? Colby's going live. Thanks for tuning in.